Okay, so we can get started. Okay, so welcome to today's session by UBC's Play and Learn at Home live series. My name is Crystal. I'm your host today, and I'm the dietitian and founder of nutriFoodie. I am making with you today some crepes, but before we get started, I wanted to say a couple things as a warning, or preparation for the session. First, I want you to know that your videos and your voice is off. So if you have any questions or you want to ask anything to our team, please comment in the chat and they will be able to help you. With introducing the ingredients. So what you're gonna see here today is we are collecting all these ingredients from the recipe that you would have downloaded or seen on my website. So you have the recipe for the crepe and you have the recipe for the fillings as well. So what we're gonna do before we get started with the cooking is that you are going to make sure that you've washed your hands, you have long hair, your hair is up, and protect your clothes while wearing an apron. And if you have all of those in place, just stand tight and I'll introduce the ingredients shortly. Make sure that you have 2 big bowls, you have your measuring spoons and your measuring cups and all the ingredients, and I'm going to walk you through measuring them all out and start mixing them. You also will need a whisk, and we're going to use that together. Okay. Okay, so we are not going to be cooking this today. You're not going to be cooking this today on your own. You're going to cook this with your family or with adult supervision at a different time. What I will do though is I will show you how to make this. I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to show you how it's going to look like when it's all done, but you're going to do this on your own. You're going to cook it with your family later, making sure that you're being safe and you're not touching anything hot without their supervision. Okay, so we're gonna start by looking here at the ingredients. We're gonna start with our dry ingredients. So I want you to grab your measuring cups and grab your flour, and you're gonna measure 2.5 cups. If you wanna play some math, and you don't have a half cup, you can fill half of this cup and you'll be able to then calculate how many of those you need. So you need 2 of these cups and you need half of it as well. Or you can use the half cup and use, how many would you use for this? Try to think about this for a second. So each cup is 2 half cups. So you would need 5 of them. Now that you've measured your flour in your bowl, you're gonna measure 3 tablespoons of sugar. So you don't want something like dark brown sugar or any sugar with molasses, because you don't want to change the color of the batter. So you can use raw sugar. I'm using raw sugar today. Or you can also use white sugar as well. So you're gonna measure 3 tablespoons into your flour. And you'll notice that there isn't that much sugar in this recipe because we don't really want this to be overly sweet. We want this recipe to have some sweetness to it, and I want it to be velvety, but I don't want it to be too sweet because it's going to be a sweet and savory crepe. And then you are going to grab your salt and your nutmeg, and you're going to use a pinch of each, just a little pinch, just a little bit of each, and you're going to put those into your batter as well. When you have them, just give them a quick mix, like that, and set it aside.
Hey, Crystal, it's Michael with UBC Camps.
Yeah.
We just had a question come in that I thought I would share.
Sure.
And that question is whether or not you would need the sugar if you are making the savory version of the crepes.
This recipe is versatile for both sweet and savory, so you do need a little bit of the sugar, and that's why it's only 3 tablespoons for a huge batter. So yes, you do need the sugar, but don't use more than 3 tablespoons. Good question. Okay. If we're ready, we can transition to the wet ingredients. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start cracking our eggs into this bowl. So I'm gonna do this right in front of you. I'm gonna show you how to crack an egg with one hand. So you need 5 eggs for this recipe. If you don't have them near you, you'll have time to practice with 5 different eggs. So you can grab your eggs and we can do this together.
Hey, Crystal,
So,
I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt again. Another great question.
yeah.
Someone wondering if cinnamon is okay to use instead of nutmeg.
Yes, you could use cinnamon, but honestly, if you don't have nutmeg, add a little bit of cinnamon. But nutmeg goes a long way with its flavor. It adds some depth of flavor, but it's not the same as cinnamon. You could use some cinnamon though. Just don't use too much. Again, like just a pinch because you don't want it to be overly sweet. Cinnamon is considered a warming spice. It will add inherent sweetness without the sugar, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But yes, you can add a little bit of cinnamon.
And last question that's come in is if you could just do a really quick recap of everything you've done so far.
Of course, yes. Okay, so what we did is that we put 2.5 cups in this bowl. If you can see the ingredients, we put 2.5 cups into this bowl of flour. We added 3 tablespoons of sugar, and we added a pinch of salt and a pinch of nutmeg. And then we mixed it all together. Good question. So when you're ready, you can grab your 5 eggs. And what we're gonna do is that we're gonna tap the egg on the middle horizontal part of the egg, and we're gonna do that on the side of the bowl. So you're gonna do this, and then it's gonna crack it this way in the middle of the egg. Now what you're gonna do is that with these 2 fingers, you're gonna push up, and with these 2 fingers, you're gonna push down. So you do that, oops, actually waited too long to break it, and then put it on the side. Let's do this again. Open it this way, so you're opening it with your fingers, but of course, if you want to just use both hands, crack it on the side, crack it using both of your thumbs, open it in half, and just pour that egg right in there. So there is a lot of eggs in crepes, and I would highly recommend to continue to use eggs. I mean, eggs are really good for you, and you'll notice that this recipe doesn't have any added fat in it. There's no oil or butter that is added in it. So the fat that is found in this recipe is from the eggs, which adds protein and adds fat, which makes you feel really full as well from having this batter. But what else we're gonna do from making this a full meal is from the fillings that we're gonna add to it. And that's gonna really help. So now if your hands are also have egg on them, make sure you give them a quick wash. Okay, good job already. So now you have your eggs, and here's the thing. My mom always said that you have to make sure that you whisk your eggs in one direction. She told me that it gives off a weird smell if you kind of mix it in both directions. So I've gotten into the habit of doing that for my whole life. So I always kind of like go in the middle of the egg. I start cracking them or breaking them with my whisk, and then I start slowly whisk them in one direction until you'll see all the egg whites and all the egg yolks all mixed together really well. It has a consistent color when you do that. Now when you have your eggs all whisked, you can set them aside for a second, and I want you to measure 2 cups of water. So 2 cups of water that can go into a large bowl. So we're gonna use a large bowl. That's your second bowl that you're using now. And I want you to put 2 cups of water in there. Remove the eggs for a second. So you have your water, and we're going to add 1 cup of milk. You can use any milk. You can use almond milk, you can use whole milk, you can use superstat milk. Any milk that you'd like, you can use it and add it here. And so you're gonna add the milk to the water as well. You're gonna add now we're collecting all the wet ingredients. So now the whisked egg is gonna go in here as well. And your vanilla. So 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and then whisk your milk, water, and egg mixture. How are we all doing? Cut up? Okay, so now we're gonna do this thing. Now, if you need help, you can ask an adult to help with this process. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna combine the dry and the wet ingredients together. If you have someone to help you, you can pour in the wet ingredients directly from the bowl. If you don't, I would recommend you grab a ladle. So I'm gonna use a ladle over here, or you can use a cup, and then you can start adding the wet ingredients into the dry. But first, I want you to actually make a hole in the middle, and then start adding your liquid right in there. Now you're gonna mix this really well. If you have an adult with you, they can help you with starting to combine these ingredients together directly from the bowl, but if not, just use the ladle that you have on hand or the measuring cups that you have. Mix this really well. And the thing is that this technique of making a well in the middle and adding the liquid into the dry is something that you'll use with a lot of baking techniques. And if you make ever like pasta at home, which I have a homemade pasta without a pasta machine, you can on the blog. So if you would like, you can check out the recipe on there. You also want to make a hole in the middle of the flour, put the eggs in there and start mixing them. So it's the same technique that you use in a lot of baking and cooking practices that require kind of like mixing the wet and the dry. Now you'll see it's still lumpy. It's still very thick. I'm gonna add more of all of our liquid. If after you add all of your liquid, that you still have a very thick consistency for the crepe, which I'm gonna show you what's a good consistency. But if after you do this that you still have a very thick consistency, you wanna add a little bit of water or milk to the batter, a little bit at a time, just so that you can always add more, but you can't take back. So when you have all your batter mixed, it should look like this. This is the consistency of the batter that you want to have. You want it to be really thin so that you can spread it really easily on your pan when you're ready to cook it. So at this time, you're going to cover the batter that you have, and that's gonna go in your fridge. So this is gonna go in the fridge. When you're ready to cook this, I'm gonna show you how you're gonna do this with family later. Not right now, you're gonna do this later. And so we're gonna get our pan and our stovetop ready. You see that? There we go. We're gonna put it at medium hot, medium to low. You don't want it to be too hot. And once this heats up, we're gonna put a little bit of butter on here, and I'm gonna show you how you're gonna make it. In the end, you're gonna have a beautiful consistency for these crepes. but it's very important to rest them between 30 minutes up to 24 hours. Otherwise, you'll find that it doesn't spread as easily, the flavor doesn't come together, it tastes more floury. So I would highly recommend that you let it sit. Do not cook it right away. This is actually good practice for things like also your pancakes, and when you're making cookies at home as well. That batter just, it tastes so much better when it sits. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Okay, we don't have any questions. I'm gonna come back to the pan. I'm gonna show you how to cook your crepes. So we're gonna check the temperature on this. It's not very hot yet, but what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna already start with buttering my pan. So my mom always did this growing up. We made a lot of crepes. In Lebanon, I'm from Lebanon, and in Lebanon we didn't make pancakes, we made crepes. That was our pancakes in our home. So we always used to say we want to make pancakes, and that was the thing that we wanted to make with our family, because that was special for us. But crepes were something that we made more often. We loved having it with just sugar, or with Nutella and banana, or ham and cheese. But today I'm showing you new ways to kind of expand that too.
Hey, Crystal, it's Michael again.
Yeah.
We just had a message come in asking if you could just maybe do a really quick recap of everything, just really quickly, so everyone is on the same page as you, just before you do your demo.
Okay, so far we have prepared our dry ingredients, which were flour, sugar, and nutmeg and salt, and we mixed that all together, put it aside, and then we made our wet ingredients. We put those together, which were 5 eggs, 2 cups of water, 1 cup of milk, and a little bit of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. We mixed that really well together. We made a hole in the flour. We added the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. We mixed them slowly. We didn't put all the liquid into the flour right away. And once you have that batter, you're gonna want to cover it and put it in the fridge. And when you're ready to cook is when we're going to do this. How's that?
That was perfect, thank you. And I have a couple of questions that have come in about
Sure.
the fixings or the filling. Do you want to answer those now, or do you want to show us your quick demo first?
Yes, we're gonna finish cooking the crepes, and then I'm gonna walk through the fillings.
Perfect. I'll save those questions for when you're done that.
Perfect, thank you. So you see here that our butter is kind of like sizzling, which is nice, but you don't want it to be hot. If it's too hot, it's gonna cook too quickly, it's gonna burn. You really don't want it to do that. What you're gonna do, this ladle is a 1/3 cup. So you wanna take a 1/3 cup of the batter, and you're gonna put it in the middle, and you're gonna spread it as thin as you can. So I put a little bit in the middle. My pan is a little big, so then you can put totally like bigger than that, more than a 1/3 cup at a time. That's totally okay if you have a bigger pan, but you definitely want it to be a thin spread crepe. So I always say that the first one is a test, and it's a perfect test because you get to kind of like get the pan to get to the perfect temperature. You get make sure to test the batter, see if it's too salty, too sweet, or not to your taste. You can adjust it. If it's too thick, you can thin it out as well. And this is a perfect test for it. Now, the crepes, the difference between crepes and pancakes is that they cook so quickly. So you'll see that it's already kind of looking dry on the top, but you don't want to flip it just yet because it's still a little too soft from the sides. You'll see this way, it's a little too soft. So what we're going to do is that we're going to wait for just a few seconds. It doesn't take too long to cook, which is actually one of my favorite things about crepes because I do not like waiting for things for too long. So when you have your crepe ready, and it's easier to flip, you'll flip it. And so some chefs always say that you don't want any brown spots. I personally do like brown spots, but this pan is still heating up to its perfect temperature. And when you do have your crepes cooked in a perfect temperature, well, for me, I like them to be to have a little bit more brownness. So you'll see on here, you can see there's a little bit of brown to the crepe And this, when it has like more of these spots, it means it's bubbling too quickly and that the temperature might be slightly too hot. So you can always kind of warm it up on both sides, but chefs usually recommend to not have it to be as brown as my other sample and to be more like this. It's up to you, of course, you're eating it in the end. So it has to be something that you like to eat and that you want to eat and that is delicious and fulfilling to you, because good food shouldn't just be a salad or eating a raw vegetable only. Good food is all kinds of foods, all integrated into your diet and making you feel good in your families and making memories together too. And so through UBC camps, I have done camps for kids, cooking camps, which we did for 8 years. And we have some of our top recipes that kids loved, and a lot of them were ones that parents never thought their kids would eat. And so we have 10 of these recipes on the website on the same page where you downloaded this recipe, and you can get that online and download your recipe book. So I'm going to put the batter to the side, and I'm going to show you the fillings that I have prepared, which I've also detailed online. So I'm going to show you the fillings, and then we'll take questions from there. So I have over here my beautiful platter of different fillings. So it's kind of like a charcuterie platter, but for crepes. So you'll see here that one of the things, super easy things that you can do is just have spinach. You can slice up some tomatoes and goat cheese, and that would be one of your fillings, savory fillings. It could be ham and cheese or deli meat and cheese. And here's one of my absolute favorite ones, which is thyme cooked with mushrooms. I show you on Instagram, I'm posting a video how to cook mushrooms perfectly and for them to taste really good as well. So that's going to be posted on there, as well as the fillings for the chia jam and the apples, the sauteed apples. Now, the thing here that I did is that I wanted to have a variety of colors. When we have color in our meals, we know that we're getting all of our nutrients without having to count things. You don't have to count all the nutrients if you're getting enough vitamin C or if you're getting enough magnesium or calcium. By making sure that you are consuming a varied diet, that you have all the food groups that are in your diet, and you're having a variety of foods in different colors, you're getting lots of nutrients and you're getting lots of antioxidants. And we don't always have to get those colors and antioxidants from vegetables. We can also get them from fruit. So usually with jam, you make it with fruit and you add tons of sugar, and sometimes you added pectin, which is basically the fibers that are usually found in fruit as well, but and that brings it all together. It's kind of like gelatinous, like very gelatin-like. But with this, we're actually just using 1 tablespoon of sugar and this seed. Does anyone know what this seed is? Can you tell from the look? Very thin, very small. When you put it in water, it expands, it becomes gel-like, and it's very high in fiber, omega-3s, protein. It's a great source, and it's really easy to use as an egg replacer as well. So here, what I've done is that I've added it in with a cup of berries, mixed berries. And so I have mixed berries, sugar, and these chia seeds. So the consistency is super thick, as you can see. But it didn't take too long for this to be prepared. This is actually something that I prepared while I was preparing the batter. So you put this on the stovetop. It's the fastest one because you don't need to slice anything. You don't need to prepare anything like for the apples or the mushrooms. You just need to put it in a pot, a little bit of tablespoon of water, or cover it so that the steam can kind of create water, low temperature, and then it will all come together by the time that you're done this meal. Here I also have some sauteed apple, lots of cinnamon, very little sugar added to it too. You can cook it with oil or butter or any other fat that you like, or like margarine or vegan butter. And also, that is one of my favorite toppings. And I often add almond butter to that too. And it's a perfect accompaniment. So you'll have lots of protein in this meal, lots of balance with fruits, vegetables, and fats. And I hope that you will love it and you have a lovely family time enjoying this, just like I did when I was younger. So this is my demo for today. What we're gonna do is that I'm gonna answer the questions that you had, and I will then wrap up the session at the end. So let's see, Michael, what are these questions?
Perfect. Yeah, so we've got a few. There's a few questions actually just about the batter and the crepes themselves. So about how many crepes would you say that the batter would make? And what is how long can you store that batter for before you use it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I wouldn't store it more than 2 days. And I think it makes, oh man, I think it makes 20 crepes. If I remember correctly. We make it often, and what we end up doing actually is that with any leftover crepes, we freeze them. So we put wax paper in between the crepes, and we just freeze them in a large Ziploc bag in our freezer. And whenever we want crepes, we just heat it up on the countertop. Really love that. It's a great tip.
Perfect.
But yeah, it's a great question. So 2 days. I want to leave it more than 2 days in the fridge.
Perfect. So I've got some more questions coming in here as well, which is if someone is doing the mushroom and cheese crepe, do they need to also add or create a sauce to go with that?
You don't need to, but you could. And you can make a really easy white bechamel sauce using just milk, a little bit of butter, and flour. So equal amounts of butter, equal amounts of flour. And you can put a cup or two cups of milk to that. Add a little bit of spices to it, like nutmeg, salt, and pepper. And just mix it up. It gets thickened up really nicely. Easy cheese sauce or cream sauce, alternative to cream. And you can make it with any milk that you have at home. Really easy to make. You could do that for sure, but you don't have to.
Perfect. And a question here, which I personally love. How could you make a chocolate filling if you did not have Nutella?
Very good question. You can make a really easy one with just using coconut oil and cocoa powder, and then add a little bit of agave and vanilla, and that will be a really delicious filling. You just drizzle it. It's kind of like melted chocolate, but using cocoa powder and coconut. Otherwise, you can just melt chocolate.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm totally supportive of that. I almost always have like a dark chocolate one as well as everything else. Yeah, it's really good.
I only have one more question, and I guess I'll just say to everyone else in the room, if you have another question, if you want to throw it to UBC Camps right away, I'll be sure to ask Crystal. But for right now, my last question that's come in.
Yeah.
How do you fold a crepe?
Oh, you know what? There's a couple different ways that you can do it. I can demonstrate it. I was just gonna cook another one to kind of like show you a better color, but so you can do a couple things if you want to go back to my camera over here. So you can either just roll it like this. You put the filling and you roll it, and you can eat it like this. This is kind of how I grew up eating it. And then here in Canada, they kind of like make it more like a fold like this. You kind of make it into a pocket instead. So you can get creative in different ways that you do it. You can do it kind of differently, like fold it differently, make it like this. You can serve it like that, kind of like a burrito, or just a roll, or turn it into halfway horizontally and then back up like that. Good question.
Perfect. I've got a couple more come in the meantime.
Sure.
If someone wanted to, can you add fruit to the batter itself, or would you only add the fruit onto the in the fillings?
I wouldn't recommend adding anything else into the batter because you want it to be super thin. This is not like pancakes. You don't want it to, you don't want the batter to be too thick. You don't want it to kind of inhibit kind of the even cooking. So I wouldn't add anything into the batter.
Perfect. And I anticipated this question would come in, and I can almost answer it. For anyone who's looking for more information about nutriFoodie and where to find your recipes and everything we're talking about, I know most people probably joined us today by going through the UBC camps or the Play and Learn website. And I guess I'll just share for everyone that's listening. The link to Crystal's website is on the Play and Learn website, and I highly suggest you check it out. Lots of recipes, everything that she's referenced today can be located through there just by clicking on the nutriFoodie link.
Yes, definitely. So you can download the recipes there, print them, save them. And I also have an awesome 10 recipe booklet that you can download. You add your email, it gets right to your inbox, and you get the top 10 recipes that our children loved in the past few years from the UBC camps, cooking camps. I have wrapped up those camps, and I am so excited to share with you everything that I've learned and everything that we shared with our kids. I'm happy to share openly, and I'm here to help. I love creating happy relationships with food in our bodies so that our growth in our life is something that is more positive, more memorable, happy memories around food in our bodies and the relationships that we get to create in the process. And so if you would like to learn more about me and about nutriFoodie and what I do, check out nutrifoodie.ca or nutrifoodie.ca/blog for the recipes and a lot of information that I share on there. I have some extra blogs for you that are just for kids and families. So you can get that via, when you download the recipe booklet, actually, I'll be sending them to you as well. And I'll be posting videos on how to make the apples, berry chia jam, as well as the mushrooms and folding the crepes right on my Instagram right after this. So go check it out at nutrifoodie_org, and I can see you on there. Now, before I forget, with the closing for this session, it has been a pleasure to have you for me to be your guest today and to host this session and share with you one of my favorite childhood recipes. And what I wanted to share with you is that the next session for the Play and Learn at Home is going to be plants and pollinators, and it's happening tomorrow at 11 a.m. from 11 to 11:30. And please interact with us on social media. So you can check out UBC Camps on Facebook and at UBC Camps at Instagram. And make sure you use the hashtag UBCPlayLearn. And I hope to see you on there and for us to keep this conversation going. So thank you so much for having me, and I hope you have a lovely day.